Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
This is Daniel, the old Menor Cardinal living in Florida. I love the show and really value the input that you guys afford us. My call is about Cade York. As we know from last year, several missed field goals, and if I'm recalling correctly, a missed extra point cost us at least one game and probably several, which kept us from the playoff status. We can't waste all of our talent and payroll investments due to poor kicking. The most concerning thing about York is the reports that his kicks do not travel as the usual kicker's balls do. He's hitting the balls something like a knuckleball, and without end-over-end action, the ball is then subject more to flutter and variance in the kick. No one is talking too much about this aspect. What do you guys think? Go Browns. Woof, woof.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Quincy, the thing that really concerns me is he makes them all in practice, and he's not making them come game day. That's not good. But it goes to show it's almost like a mental thing. And I think go.
I think the problem is exactly what the caller brought up, but not in the way that he meant it. I think they're thinking too much about it. The same way Browns fans are thinking too much about why he's not making the kicks. Is it the holder? Is it the angle in which his foot is attacking the ball, or is he trying to pull? Or I imagine that all of this is going through Cade York's head before he kicks a field goal in the game. And he's trying to think about all of this stuff, and it's too much, right? You know, we always joke about, hey, did they make the call to Phil Dawson? Maybe they shouldn't, because Phil kicked so long that he knows so much. And if you give all of that information to a rookie kicker about you should look at this flag and you should put your finger in the air, and they're going to try to make too many adjustments they don't know how to make. And then they're just not going to, they're going to be trying to adjust the ball before the win ratios, and then they're kicking it. And it goes wide left all the time because they're trying to adjust for stuff that they don't really understand, when all they need to do is just kick a good football, right? Like, that's all Cade York needs to go, is get back to the fundamentals. He's a talented kicker. He has good leg strength. He had good leg strength at LSU. He has good leg strength in the NFL. All he needs to do is hit a good ball, and most of the field goals that he has to make will go in. Now, the 60-yard stuff, the 50-yard stuff, that's where you got to get all that technical with it. I don't care if he misses those. Just hit a good ball and make the easy stuff, and you'll be fine. But I think he thinks too much when these kicks happen, and he's trying to make too many adjustments based on what happened beforehand, and now he's in his head, and now he's trying to force himself to try to kick it, and it's just too much. The guy needs a reset. He just needs to take a deep breath and get back to the basics of kicking the football, because we know he can do it. We've seen him do it before. He's just in his head about it, especially when the lights get bright.
And this is a year where you cannot afford to be leaving points on the field. The Browns cannot afford that.
I mean, hopefully they have enough room for error, right? Because the defense and the offense are good enough, and maybe that's the thinking, is that, hey, these games don't have to be tight. Because we're talking about these games that came down to like this close of a margin last year, and the kicking really mattered. Well, that was because the offense was limited and the defense was terrible, right? Like, that's why it came down to the margins, because we were blowing all of our margin of error on offense and defense. I guess they're thinking, hey, we're going to be good enough on both sides of the ball that we can have a little bit of room for error here with the kicker. And to their point, nobody talks about this, but Harrison Butker was not consistent for for 2 of the last 3 years in Kansas City. Nobody talked about it because it didn't matter, because the Chiefs were good enough to overcome these things. So ultimately, the onus is going to be on the Cleveland Browns, the offense and the defense, the sides of the ball, to get the most money to overcome bad kicking, if that's what you have. So that's not necessarily a good excuse for them, but you know, you do worry about it at the tips, right? When we're talking about the playoffs, where the margins get this thin, if he's still having these issues, then that's where it becomes something that costs you.